Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, where we get you the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. Government to start declassifying files related to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose by January next year. Prime Minister Modi says there is no need to strangle history. For the first time, the Prime Minister also directly reacts to Dadri and other incidents of intolerance, terms them unfortunate but denies centre's responsibility. The opposition calls for concrete action, not posturing. Shiv Sena shows no remorse over the Prime Minister slamming protests against Ghulam Ali and Kasuri, takes a dig at Modi by referring to the Godhra riots. Campaigning for the second phase of polling in Bihar comes to an end. Bigwigs like Nitish Kumar, Lalu Prasad and Amit Shah address multiple rallies. And President Pranab Mukherjee becomes the first Indian head of state to address the Israeli parliament Knesset, but avoids raking up the Israeli-Palestine conflict in his speech. Top story this evening. For the first time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reacted directly to some of the recent incidents of intolerance across the country. He termed the Dadri lynching incident as sad, but denied responsibility of the centre in such cases. Instead, he accused the opposition of indulging in politics of polarization. Opposition parties slammed his reaction as mere posturing and called for more concrete actions.
There has been growing pressure in the past few weeks on Prime Minister Narendra Modi to react to the Dadri incident. Apart from making a reference at a rally in Bihar, the Prime Minister did not react to it directly until an interview to the Bengali daily Ananda Bazar Patrika. Accusing the opposition of indulging in pseudo-secularism and politics of polarization, Modi described the Dadri incident and the cancellation of Ghulam Ali's concert in Mumbai as unfortunate. Modi's cabinet colleagues as well as RSS backed his reaction, saying the centre has no responsibility to tackle such incidents of intolerance.
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने सही कहा कि किसी राज्य में कानून व्यवस्था में अगर कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया तो उस राज्य में जो राज्य सरकार होता है उसका सीधा उसका जिम्मेदारी लेना पड़ता है।
जो लोग देश के सौहार्द को, देश की एकता को, देश के भाईचारे को तार-तार करने के सियासी संकल्प के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, वो खुद तार-तार होंगे। यही संदेश और यही संकल्प प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का है, यही संकल्प संदेश भारतीय जनता पार्टी का है और यही संकल्प देश के लोगों का है।
दादरी की घटना में कितना भी गुस्सा है तो भी कानून अपने हाथ में नहीं लेना चाहिए लोगों ने, और हत्या वगैरह तो बिल्कुल नहीं करनी चाहिए। सुरेंद्र कुलकर्णी के बारे में जो वो भी निंदनीय घटना है, दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण तो है ही। विरोध कर सकते हैं, विरोध करने का एक तरीका होता है, लेकिन अब विरोध का मतलब अपमान नहीं होता।
Congress and other key opposition parties have hit back, saying that the Prime Minister cannot wash his hands off the incident. Even BJP ally Shiv Sena, which showed no remorse over its protests against Ghulam Ali's concert or Khurshid Mahmood Kasuri's book launch, took a dig at Modi's reaction.
जो घटना हुई है मुंबई में वो राष्ट्रभक्ति की घटना थी। राष्ट्रभक्ति से प्रेरित हमारे शिवसैनिकों ने जो किया है उसका हमें ना कोई दुख है ना खेद है, और प्रधानमंत्री जी का जो वक्तव्य आया है आज ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
कितने असहाय हो गए हैं क्या कि कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। संगीत सोम भाजपा के विधायक खुलेआम उन्होंने उन जो आरोपी हैं उनको बचाने के लिए खुलकर बयान दिया, उन पर कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं करते?
It is not enough. He cannot wash off his hands that his government has no role. Does Prime Minister approve of the statements being made by his own minister? There he has to act and he has a role.
Last week at an election rally in Bihar, Modi had appealed for communal harmony without naming any particular incident. He had also referred to the president's speech where Pranab Mukherjee called for maintaining India's core values of tolerance and mutual respect. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, clearly the PM statement not helping the anger. Of course, continuing, noted Bengali poet Mandakanta Sen has joined the long list of writers to return their Sahitya Academy Awards. The winner of the Academy's Young Writer Special Award has joined the protest against communal attacks in the country. Sen is the author of 22 poetry books and 7 novels in Bengali. She has returned the award, saying that it was her mark of protest against what happened in Dadri and the recent attacks on rationalists and writers.
Voices of people, voices of writers as well, they're being choked. So against all this, I'm protesting, and I have already started protesting in our state. But I wanted to say something against the Modi government and their vision more nationally. So that's why I have chosen this path of returning my award.
Meanwhile, eminent author Shashi Deshpande has also criticized the Prime Minister's comment on the Dadri lynching incident, saying it was far too weak. Deshpande recently resigned from the General Council of the Sahitya Academy to protest what the writers say is growing intolerance in the country. Several writers have come forward to protest recent incidents, returning their awards as a form of protest.
Obviously, the Prime Minister cannot deal with any incident which happens anywhere in the country. But surely they can sort of see the people's mood. You can see that this is what is being done is very wrong. You can speak against it. And I think important to speak up, whether it is for the citizen or whether it is for the ministers or whether it's for the Prime Minister, and not go on defending actions which are definitely, suspect.
In other developments, the centre will declassify its secret files on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose next year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi made the announcement after meeting 35 members of the freedom fighters' family at his residence today. He said that India will also request other countries, including Russia, to declassify their files on Netaji.
The family members of Netaji Subhash Bose met the Prime Minister on Wednesday to urge him to declassify files on the freedom fighter to unveil the truth behind his controversial death 70 years ago, and they did not return empty-handed. Reacting on the meeting, Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to Twitter to make the announcement of Centre's decision to finally start the process. And the first of the files will be released on the freedom fighter's birthday on January 23rd next year.
The declassification process is on. The first of declassification will happen on 23rd of January. So it was a great moment. And I think not only the people present thank the Prime Minister for this announcement. I think the entire country is today jubilant because 70 years of wait for the real history to come out on Netaji and INA has finally taken shape under Prime Minister Mr. Modi.
Today actually is the Independence Day of India. That documents जो दबाया हुआ गया है वो आज सार्वजनिक किया जाएगा 23 जनवरी से शुरुआत. Subhash Chandra Bose was one of the first nationalists of India. तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी नेशनलिज्म में विश्वास करता है. तो वो अच्छी काम किया है, ये सब सार्वजनिक क्या किया है, तो उसका फायदा वो खुद उठाएंगे, क्यों नहीं? देश आज नरेंद्र मोदी जी को पूरा समर्थन देंगे.
Earlier, the centre had been of the opinion that declassification of the files could lead to a diplomatic issue. It fears that India's relation with some of the other countries could be compromised. But last month, West Bengal government had declassified 64 files on Netaji. Some of the documents have raised questions over the theory of his death, as well as several governments' alleged snooping on the family. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Over to Bihar now, and campaigning for the second phase of elections came to an end today. Both sides, the Grand Alliance and the NDA camp, spared no efforts in reaching out to the voters before the voting day, which is this Friday.
Ahead of the close of campaigning for the second phase on Wednesday, the main rivals organized a spate of rallies in Bihar. For the Grand Alliance, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar addressed 5 rallies, while his chief ally Lalu Prasad campaigned in 8 places. The second phase of elections will be held for 32 seats in 6 districts on Friday. 458 candidates are in the fray. 32 of them are women. 10 of these seats are in Gaya, 7 in Rohtas, 6 in Aurangabad, 4 in Kaimur, 3 in Jahanabad and 2 in Arwal, Makdampur and Imamganj are reserved SC seats. Hindustani Awam Morcha Chief Jitan Ram Manjhi is contesting from both these seats. Meanwhile, campaigning is in full swing for the third phase. Voting for 50 seats in 6 districts will be held on the 28th of October. The fate of Lalu Prasad's sons, Tej Pratap and Tejasvi Yadav, will be decided in Mahua and Raghopur. Polling for the 4th and 5th phases will take place on the 1st and 5th of November, while the votes will be counted on the 8th of November. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Wholesale inflation edged up marginally in September, but the deflationary trend continues for the 11th straight month despite pulses, vegetables and onion turning costlier. The wholesale inflation fell to 4.54%, primarily on the back of tumbling oil prices. The wholesale fuel price fell 17.71% from a year ago. Prices of manufactured goods declined by 1.73% in September. Food prices, however, inched up 0.69% year-on-year in September. Now, besides pulses and onion, the food items which became dearer in September were eggs, meat and fish, milk and wheat. The government said that it's working on the prices of pulses to come down.
In order to make the price of the pulses more affordable, will be born out of the price stabilization fund itself. We hope that over the next few days, there will be a considerable amount of stock which will come into the market.
Meanwhile, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs reached several decisions today. Major among these were fertilizer subsidy and barracks and houses for personnel of paramilitary forces. The Cabinet approved a little over 6,800 crore rupees worth of fertilizer subsidy. This will be distributed through SBI and PNB. The Cabinet has also approved performance-related pay or PRP to executives and non-unionized supervisors of all subsidiaries of Coal India Limited.
मैनेजरियल सुपरवाइजरी क्लास एक ही होता है जो एक सब्सिडरी से दूसरे में ट्रांसफर होते हैं, इसलिए आज हम एक एक्सेप्शन देते हुए उनकी चिंता करेंगे। तो 2007 से परफॉर्मेंस रिलेटेड पे जो सारे सुपरवाइजरी और मैनेजरियल लेवल के हमारे अधिकारी हैं और बाकी हैं उनको दिया जाएगा।
And with that, let's take it through some more national news updates in Nationwide. The general public was fed a bitter pill today with more than 8 lakh chemists shutting shop as part of a nationwide strike. The strike call given by the All India Organization of Chemists and Druggists was to demand action from the centre against the illegal online sale of medicines. The protesting organisation has warned of an indefinite strike in case the matter is not resolved within a week. The Supreme Court has restrained Gujarat police from arresting social activist Teesta Setalvad and her husband till the 8th of December. The court has also issued notice to Teesta and her husband on the CBI's plea seeking cancellation of their bail granted by the Bombay High Court in another case of violation of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. The court granted Teesta and her husband 4 weeks' time to file a reply and posted the case for hearing on the 1st of December. A special court today framed charges against former Coal Secretary H.C. Gupta and 5 others in the coal scam case. They are accused of alleged irregularities in allocation of a coal block in Madhya Pradesh to an accused firm. They have been charged with cheating and criminal breach of trust by a public servant. The NIA has arrested one more person in the Udhampur terror attack case. The suspect, Sabir Ahmed, is believed to be the conductor and co-owner of the truck in which the Pakistani terrorist Naved travelled to carry out the terror strike in August. The agency had already arrested Shaukat Ahmed Bhatt and Khurshid Ahmed, who were also involved in the alleged transportation of terrorists in Kashmir. With a quick break here, but up next, focus on international relations, and China once again allays India's concerns over its highest altitude dam close to the borders.
The Uniform Civil Code. On a politically fraught topic, the Supreme Court seeks a decision. What's on the agenda? Who will be affected? Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back to the news tonight. Now, China has allayed India's concerns over the now operational largest dam in Tibet built on the Brahmaputra. India has expressed fears of disrupted water supply because of the dam. The Zangmu Dam is considered to be the world's highest altitude hydropower station and the largest of its kind.
The highest hydropower station in the world became operational on Tuesday in Tibet. The $1.5 billion Zangmo Dam runs across the Sangpo River, which is known as Brahmaputra when it enters India. The river is considered as the lifeline of the entire northeast. The centre is concerned with an operational dam close to the Arunachal Pradesh border. The dam is built on the upper reaches of the river. An Indian interministerial expert group on Brahmaputra had raised concerns over the impact on the flow of waters to the lower reaches, which majorly falls on the Indian side. According to several reports, China is building few more dams in the region. The interministerial group said that 3 dams, including Zangmo, are within 25 kilometers of each other and are 550 kilometers from the Indian border. India has been taking up the issue with China for the past few years, but China sought to allay fears, saying that they are the run-of-the-river projects which were not designed to hold water.
但是在关于这个水资源的利用问题上，我们其实中印双方呢也都保持着良好的沟通。那么在两国领导人互访期间，就此也有过重要的共识。中方呢是十分重视这个。
Under the understanding reached in 2013, the Chinese side agreed to provide more flood data of the Brahmaputra to maintain transparency. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, for more on this, we're joined by Sanjay Bhardwaj, who's a professor of South Asian Studies at JNU, joining us in studio this evening. Professor Bhardwaj, give us a sense of, how India should be viewing this. They're, of course, concerned. Yes, they have brought it up time and again with China. But China's statement coming in that, this is not a big project, this is just run-of-the-river kind of a project. You shouldn't be worrying about dam, holding water or flooding. Are those concerns, though, on India's side real?
See, yeah, it has to be looked a very serious policy issue. In fact, we have to understand that China is ruled by the engineers, and they love to build big dams and for the buildings and all that. So they have very traditional reductionist approach in its development, in fact, and they considered water as a commodity. In fact, they do not look at how it will adversely impact over the lower riparian. Politically, they can use as an instrument to influence the lower riparian as a strategic techniques, or economically they can. It has serious implications for the lower riparian and environmental perspective as well, because the construction of the dam at upper Brahmaputra region will definitely have adverse impact on morphology of the river Brahmaputra. It is the highest or densely populated people are living in the lower riparian parts of the Brahmaputra river in northeastern India as well as Bangladesh. And it has also generates the highest sediment deposition in the lower riparian. So if any kind of construction, though the China is talking that we are not storage, there is no storage of water, and we are not holding water, and it is a river run project, in fact. But it is will definitely, because the China initially they had thought that we will divert water towards the northern parts of Tibet, in fact, but it was technically not feasible. Now they are constructing, they have 3 important projects like Jinggu and Jangmu and Jiangchu. These 3 important projects, they have the hydroelectricity projects, and definitely it would, they will hold the water in the lean season, and once they will hold the water, definitely it would adversely impact in the lean seasons in the lower riparian, including northeast and Bangladesh. Second, it would also economically adversely impact on. India has 2 important projects in the Arunachal Pradesh, Siang and Upper Siang and Suhani, Lower Suhani. These would also be adversely impacted if China would do any kind of construction of dams and dilute the water of upper Tibet region. So India has to prioritize its bilateral dialogues with China to ensure, because we have to bargain on our user rights. In fact, there is no legal.
That's what I was also going to come to you to. You've of course pointed out the concerns, the challenges really that are going to be for India, which is not new. India has in fact been bringing up these projects, but these concerns. But do you think the approach has been soft in trying to deal with this with China, taking their word that, this is nothing to worry about, something that again India is trying to deal with a neighbor with a very soft approach? That's also the kind of criticism coming in.
No, Chinese policy is very, very, very straight, in fact, because they have to feed 1.3 billion people, and for that they are exploring the resources through land routes, through constructing hydroelectricity projects and all that. So they will not bother about the rights of other states. There, I think India has to emphasize about user rights, in fact, because we have been very soft. We have been talking to China regarding about sharing of data to control floods and natural disasters and all that. But there now the question is arising about the survival of the people in the northeastern region and in Bangladesh. I think India and Bangladesh, they should come together to bargain with China, and we should take the basin-wise approach. We should look at not only the catchment area, but we have to look at how many people are adversely affected by the construction of this kind of project in upper Brahmaputra region. So India has to strongly bargain and or in fact prioritize its in bilateral dialogues when we are talking to China. Otherwise, it would we feel that Brahmaputra is a power generation house, in fact, and we will not explore these opportunities for the development of the northeastern region. And China will, today they are constructing dams, hydroelectricity projects, and tomorrow they will dilute the water through the techniques and their projects. So India, it's a serious concern for economic
needs to take a
regions
harder approach, perhaps a harder
for
stand,
geostrategic regions as well, because in case of conflict, they can release more water, and that people will be affected by floods and natural disasters.
Absolutely.
So we have to be very careful about environmental perspective, economic perspective, and politically.
All right, we leave it there for now. Professor Bhardwaj, thanks so much for joining us on this story. In other news, President Pranab Mukherjee has become the first Indian head of state to address the Israeli parliament, known as the Knesset. President Mukherjee spoke at Knesset on the penultimate day of his three-nation tour comprising Jordan, Palestine and Israel. Both the President and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emphasized on the importance of improving bilateral ties historically and economically. Netanyahu described Pranab's visit as historic and said that the sky was the limit for collaborations. In fact, he also promised India all technology for its development. Steering clear of the Israel-Palestine conflict, though, the president thanked Israel for its support to India during the Kargil war. He emphasized that bilateral ties between India and Israel have improved after that. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not miss out on Mukherjee not mentioning Palestine and reiterated that Palestinians will have to recognize the Israeli state. And now more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. The US and Russia will hold fresh talks on air safety in Syria after claims that combat aircraft from both countries came within miles of each other on Saturday. US Defense Secretary Ash Carter said that the US expects an agreement with Russia's military soon. Carter criticized Russia's military strategy in Syria, calling it wrong-headed and strategically short-sighted. China has denied militarization of the South China Sea. It has criticized Australia and the US after it was urged to halt its artificial island building in the South China Sea. China says that its actions in South China Sea don't target any one country and are beyond reproach. China has asked countries to stop flexing their muscles and hyping up the issue. Myanmar's Election Commission has ruled out any change in dates for the forthcoming general elections. It clarified that discussions of a postponement caused confusion and could have undermined the election process. However, Myanmar's general election will go ahead as scheduled on the 8th of November. The poll is said to be the first openly contested general elections in 25 years. And now cricket in India defeated South Africa by 22 runs in the second ODI today in Indore. Indian bowlers bowled out the Proteas for 225 after the batsmen set a target of 248 runs in 50 overs. The visitors faltered in front of the Indian spinners who took 5 wickets between them. Bhuvneshwar Kumar and spinner Akshar Patel bagged 3 wickets each. Earlier, India scored 247 for the loss of 9 wickets. India's top order failed after losing 3 quick wickets. Skipper MS Dhoni's 92 not out, of course, helped India achieve a comprehensive score. The valiant knock earned him the Man of the Match award as well. For South Africa, Dale Steyn took 3 wickets while Imran Tahir and Mohan Moghul claimed 2 each. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. From the entire team here, good night.